Hey everybody, it's your girl PJamma with PJammaLyfe. And today we have our buddy Pat. Say hey to the people, Pat.
Hey, everybody.
And we hope David's going to be able to join us. He'll pop in when he can if he's available. And today we have a couple of really good ones. We have the penultimate episode of Hawkeye, the movie from Comedy Central, Hot Mess Holiday, and our big TV show we've been waiting to review, Ted Lasso on Apple Plus. So why don't we start off with Hot Mess Holiday? Let me just make sure that's what we are going to start. Pat, tell the people how you doing.
I am doing well. I am super excited. Tomorrow I have tickets at 12:30 in Kansas City time to go see the new Spider-Man, and I have threatened all my students in my classroom that saw it earlier that I would flunk them without a bit of pity if they told me anything about it. And they were all pretty good about it. They understood that I wasn't joking. They might have thought I was joking, but I wasn't joking. They knew I was not playing. So tomorrow I get to see the new Spider-Man movie. It's supposed to be the one student who did see it Thursday night, who showed up Friday. He said, I explained to him the rules. You tell me, you come back. I flunk you. He's like, no. He says, I will tell you it was 10 out of 10. So I'm real excited about that. But other than that, yeah, I'm just sitting here waiting for Christmas. One more day of work till vacation for the rest of the year.
Woo! And if you like me, who saves up her leave,
Same.
So all year I've been waiting for December so I can just be off. So, well, let's get started with our first one, which is Hot Mess Holiday from Comedy Central.
Oh, God. If it isn't the two Indian girls with the white names.
Literally, the first thing people think about when they hear Serena is a famous black tennis player. So, checkmate, Kavita. Oh, I see your minions are multiplying.
Funny, I'm their dance teacher. Oh, I hope you're not shopping for your wedding, Mel. These places don't take returns. Everyone knows Daisies don't do long engagements, so something must be going on.
Nothing's going on. We're just taking our time.
Don't you have something better to do? Like spend your dad's hotel empire money?
Okay, first off, they aren't hotels. They're a boutique bungalow experience. And second, I earn my own money. I'm the company's brand ambassador.
You run the TikTok page.
4 million followers and counting.
Okay, it took forever to find that clip, which tells you something about it. Pat, let me go first because I already.
You better go first. You better go first.
Go first.
Me?
You want me to go first?
I think you better go first. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
You go first.
So this is a story. It's interesting because it is the Comedy Central's entry into the the holiday movies, and this one is a Diwali story, the Festival of Lights, and it is with an Indian cast, and so that's really cool. And because I think this is probably one of the first ones featuring Diwali and what that means. And so it was nice in order to see something different in a holiday movie feature. And it was executive produced by Cal Penn, and everybody knows him he did pretty good. I thought he would just pop in, but he had like some significant amount of time in this, which he needed to be in, because this was some garbage. This was terrible. I'm sorry that this is the first one featuring Diwali, because it was not great. It had some funny moments, but this one, it was trying to be like Cal Penn's movie, but
Harold and Kumar. It was very Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, it was very Harold, but it wasn't as funny. And the two leads had some fun chemistry. Now, their chemistry was kind of fun, but I felt like the writing on this, not great. Not great. So, yeah. Pat, what'd you think?
Well, I didn't feel like it was. You kind of hit what I was going to say pretty much. I mean, it didn't feel like much of a holiday movie. It felt like more of a Harold and Kumar movie. It was definitely Comedy Central material. It was funny for the most part, but it was relied on sight gags and several things like that. I mean, it was okay. I didn't hate it as much as I've hated some other Christmas movies, but because it was just based on just being stupid funny more than being a holiday movie or whatever. So yeah, it was okay. It wasn't bad. I didn't feel cheated out 2 hours of my life. That's kind of the low bar I gotta have to I mean, I just don't feel like, wow, that's 2 hours of my life I'll never get back, or an hour and 25 minutes or whatever it was. It wasn't bad. It was okay.
Yeah. And I think that they did have some good chemistry between the two. And I think it lacked some kind of, I mean, every movie doesn't have to be a social commentary on life, but even in Harold and Kumar, there was some social commentary going on in a funny way. But this one was just silly. So it's short, though. I'll give it that.
I mean, if silly was the bar, Harold and Kumar pretty damn silly and ridiculous. I mean, come on.
Super ridiculous. No, but that was super funny, and this one was like a light,
small
laugh.
chortle, not a
chortle, not a belly laugh like I did with Harold and Kumar. So, I mean, definitely you can watch these. I think these two women have a good future ahead of them. I think with some better material, I think that their chemistry will kind of shine through. So, definitely decide for yourself if you want to watch Hot Mess Holiday. There's better movies out there. Definitely better Christmas movies. But, you sitting around hanging out with your friends and y'all want something silly, watch this. But watch the Harold and Kumar Christmas one. Okay. Next up is the penultimate episode of Hawkeye. So let's take a look. Lots of stuff being revealed on this one.
Hey. Perfect timing. I could just put Nate down to bed.
Yeah, good. We need to talk.
Oh. Well, no fun conversations ever started that way.
I'm sorry. This problem just keeps getting bigger. Someone has hired a Black Widow.
Kate Bishop.
Hi. I made macaroni if you want some.
Are you in New York to talk to Clint? Is that why you're here?
No. I'm here to kill him.
Choose with them. I never wanted to be reckless. I just wanted to help you. I know, hon. Recklessness is the unfortunate side effect.
Okay, Pat, give us some of your marvelous take on this one.
I keep loving this show more and more every minute I watch. And I will say this, just like I said when I watched the Black Widow movie, Florence Pugh steals everything she's involved in.
I mean, she's a robber baron, Jack.
Dude, the light just kind of gravitates towards her. I mean, everything she does is so over the top. It's just so well done. She just inhabits that character so well. Super, super awesome. I mean, this episode is really good too. and you
Yeah.
finally get eased into. Okay, I'm gonna say spoilers. And if you ain't watched it and don't want to know anything about it, you need to leave now.
Spoilers.
So,
Okay,
I mean,
turn
but
it down right now.
yes,
Okay.
but if you haven't been paying attention to like any social media or something, you know they've been hinting at it for a while now that the large benefactor of Echo was going to be Wilton Fisk, aka Kingpin, and you saw a picture of him this time. I mean, you see him, and it's Vincent D'Onofrio reprising his role from the Marvel series they had on Netflix of Daredevil. Here he is. He's Kingpin. He's back, and I tell you, he is such a big presence too. And Vincent D'Onofrio did such a really good job with Kingpin, with the Wilton Fisk character throughout the entire Daredevil run.
Okay.
And there's been hints that Charlie Cox is going to come back as Daredevil in the new Spider-Man movie, which I will be able to confirm or deny tomorrow after I see it. But there's a lot of stuff, and here's just another we are not worthy to Kevin Feige, who has done such a great job of tying all these properties together, and he's even starting to try to draw on some of the wayward children, as it were, from the Netflix series, where they've which they had some really solid series. If you want to go back and watch those,
I was sad that they ended those because
they really left
Luke
the Luke Cage
Cage
up in
was great in the first season of Iron Fist was great, and
they left Luke Cage up in the air. They left Jessica Jones up in the air. They left Iron Fist up in the air. I mean, really, it was off of it. It was definitely a who shot JR left at the end type of moment. And you're like, what the hell? And it's like, forget about it. We're moving on. But the Charlie Cox character of Daredevil, Matt Murdock, is probably one of the most easily translatable to a new thing. He was very, very charismatic, very much inhabited that character. I would also say Jessica Jones, the Kristen Ritter character. I would love to see her come back. I mean, everybody had kind of a lot of problems with Iron Fist. Yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed it because I liked the book.
The first season was good. The second season, I was like, I don't know.
It got weird. It got
weird. Yeah. It got
with the uncle and all the other stuff. Anyway, but for those of you who haven't watched it, feel free to watch those and then make up your own minds. I'll tell you what, but Charlie Cox's Daredevil, they have Elektra coming into it. I mean, there was a lot of things that were coming into this. They were just really starting to develop their own little Marvel universe, and because the Avengers and all these other ones were these worldwide, catastrophe type of teams that were fighting, global events, whereas the Defenders, which is what the Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist groups, they were always just kind of like a new, kind of like they always, you say about Spider-Man, your neighbor, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Because they were always kind of like a New York thing. They were helping clean up Hell's Kitchen in New York and what other things. So I mean, it was always an interesting kind of a local feel to it, and they could get away with that really easily and stay out of the radar of the general MCU. So it was really interesting. It's really interesting to see Kevin Feige trying to bring in some of these characters into the fold of the MCU, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. In the future, maybe he can bring in some of the ones we haven't seen yet, we haven't seen really treated by anything recently other than just the incredibly horrible Fantastic Four movies. Yeah. Both of them the first two were okay with, you saw it with Jessica Alba and, and Chris Evans as, before he was Captain America, he was Johnny Storm. Yeah. And then there was that horrible reboot they did with Michael B. Anthony as Johnny Storm. It was terrible. I mean, but now we have a chance to start bringing things in, and we're seeing how they're going to integrate them. I'm hoping they do really good with it. Bringing in like the Fantastic Four is like the first family of the Marvel universe, and then you can bring in the X-Men and all the mutants and all the other great stuff that's in that whole we don't even mention it type of world inside of the MCU. So I did enjoy it quite a bit, and I got to tell you, this episode was really good because you can see them cracking the door. You see them starting to let some of this other stuff in. We're going to bring in some of these other things that were, just kind of hinted at, and then it's common knowledge. But now we're actually going to say, we're going to bring you into the fold. We're going to make you canon. So this is pretty exciting. And this is the first one you're starting to see it. And it's the next episode, which is the final episode. Can't wait to see.
Yeah. And I'm like, golly, finally. I mean, they need 2 more episodes besides this one. They need to bump it to 8. Like, I think most of them were 8 or 10, and this one's just 6. So, I don't know. But, and spoiler, I said, something's up with that mom. Something's up with the mother. So, she never seemed like a good guy to me. So, we're going to see how her character leads. And I liked Clint's wife, Linda Cardinelli, I think that's her name.
I think so, yeah.
Velma. She's still Velma to me from the Scooby-Doo movie. But she's fantastic. And, I was like, yeah, that's a real one right there. When she told him, yeah, go in this. I believe in you. You do whatever you got to do. You in this. And I was like, yep, that's what a real wife does. But I also really liked, finally, I could connect with some of the story and the bringing in the Black Widow and the Black Widow assassins, and where you see Yelena heartbroken over Natasha and what happened with Natasha, and blames Clint for what happened with Natasha. And where she's trying to, I think she had good intentions with Kate to tell her, hey, you need to know who you are around to protect yourself. And because, I think she feels some kind of affinity, with her, and she really doesn't want to hurt her. You could see at many times she could have just jacked her up, and she was just like, no, let's eat macaroni.
Lots of sriracha, so much sriracha.
And I was like, huh? Macaroni and cheese and hot sauce? Where's she from? She needs to throw in some collard greens and then she can just come on over to my house. But I really like Florence Pugh, and she really just kind of up the temperature on the TV show so that it feels more Marvel, but it also feels more cinematic. Before it was kind of playing like a soap opera or something, but now
It was a buddy comedy, not a soap opera.
Well, it didn't feel like the rest of the Marvel properties. It felt smaller, and she made it bigger. That's what I feel like.
Yes.
And so, but my boys, the tracksuit body, the classic Run DMC Christmas song. That was those guys are a great comic foil in the show. I really enjoyed them because they've had some of the best lines in the series. So I think that with Kate and Clint, I think it's a really good pairing. I'm wondering if next week there'll be kind of a reckoning where she'll have to understand, what he did. But I think she kind of has reconciled it a little bit, that, hey, sometimes you're going to make mistakes when you're out there trying to save the world, and you're just going to have to forgive, people for trying to do what's right. And I think Yelena, she ain't forgiving nothing. So it'll be interesting to see.
That is Russian.
Yes. And it'll be, but see, okay, now I'm confused about the storyline. I'm confused about the timeline because I thought that they said it was 5 years ago, but then that later it wasn't right. Something about the timing wasn't right.
No, it was fine. I mean, it worked out pretty good, I thought, because you have her at the very opening sequence, which I want to tell you was one of the better, like, not the blip, but the unblip. moment that they have with Yelena
yes.
at the very beginning of that
Yes.
episode was amazing. Where all of a sudden she's looking in the mirror and then you see her dust, and then you see her reappear, and then you see the walls change
Yeah.
because someone's in 5 years changed the wallpaper in the bathroom. You know, I
Yeah.
mean that was super. That was super cool. You know, and then she shows up and her friend's got 2 kids, and she's like, "The hell happened?" It's been, you know, and she's like, "It's been 5 years. Where the hell you been?" And she's like, you know, it was that was a really good way to illustrate how disjarring it was for people that were unblipped. So I thought that was really a wonderful visual device that they used to show that. So, you know, yeah,
because that would be it would just, can you imagine that da 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 bloop, and then you come back bloop, and it's because just think about it. If you blipped in 20, let's say, what's 5 years ago, 2016, 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Which might be okay because you might have blipped out on some president that maybe wasn't,
you know,
that popular.
and that was a light thing for her because she blipped back into her friend's house and her friend didn't get blipped. So she's like, oh, this is, and so they knew. But imagine you blipped and your whole family got blipped, and so all of a sudden there's like an empty house, and then they sold it to, you know, another family, and you wake up and you pop back into existence, and you're in somebody else's house, even though it's your house.
Well, how about you blip? You were driving and you got blipped. So where's your car? And
Do you roll, or you blip at speed, or you just blip into space? I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah. So some of that blip stuff was kind of blippity bloppity blue. So
timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so, but I thought that, you know, every time she's on the screen, I'm happy. So definitely this was the next to the last episode. So next week is the final one. It looks like it's going to be a doozy. So definitely check out Hawkeye next week. We'll be back to talk about it. And so our last one is... We've been waiting, haven't we, Pat? We've been
Oh my God, so good.
Ted Lasso. Let's take a look.
As far as new managers go, shall I prepare a list of candidates?
No, that would be necessary.
This is a bit of surprising news from the other side of the Atlantic. AFC Richmond announced the hiring of their new manager, one Theodore Ted Lasso.
Oi, mate, that's you.
I believe it is.
Oh, mate, you are a legend for doing something so stupid. I mean, it's mental. They're gonna fucking murder you.
Good.
How do you take your tea?
Well, usually I take it right back to the counter because someone's made a horrible mistake. But when in Rome, right? Yeah.
To the fans at home, we do apologise for the fruity language.
Welcome to England.
We'll need you to speak to the press.
Oh, yeah. No, after a couple nights good sleep, I'll be happy to do so.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew. They're ready for you now.
They're what?
Oh, my goodness. So, the first season, just go watch it. I want to talk about the second season, this year's season, which was phenomenal. It was everything that it was just, it deserved every single Emmy that it received and more, because this year's episodes were mwah. Pat, talk about what you thought, and I'll talk about what I thought.
Okay. The first season, you know, and I've heard this is a 3-season arc for the storyline.
No, that's it.
Well, that's what they designed it as originally. Okay, that doesn't mean they can't expand it. Whatever. Okay, but I will tell you that during the dark days we've had in the past year and a half or whatever it is now, this has been a welcome, bright sunshine in everything.
Yes.
You want to talk about the most positive, uplifting thing you can see? I will tell you that watch Ted Lasso. And if you are not smiling and happy at the end of it, you have no soul. That's all there is to it. It is.
Or go get some meds and a therapist, because
I'm just saying, because I mean, it is so uplifting and so happy. The guy is eternally optimistic. He makes you feel good no matter. I mean, you want to talk about someone who was put behind a rock, under the gun, in the sights, whatever you want, whatever your analogy is for set up to fail. He is set up to fail. The guy's, because of his overweening optimism, just is amazingly overcomes everything because of his optimistic, his positive behavior. Even though when he's having some serious, terrible times in the first season, his wife, him and his wife get divorced because he has to go over. He still just stays positive about everything, and he's just like, well, that kind of happens, I'm just going to have to do the best. And he just keeps on going. I mean, and he converts people that are not liking him. I mean, he does such a great job of being eternally positive, even in the face of willful pessimism, is, I guess, would be the word I'm looking for. Some of his players don't like him because he starts out as an American football coach and comes over to do English football, which is what we in America call soccer, which is totally different. And I mean, there's so many great little bits of lines in there. I mean, and Jason Sudeikis, Kansas City representing there.
Jayhawk, Kansas.
Yes, that's right. And so, I mean, he steals every scene he's in. He's amazingly positive, but while he steals scenes, everybody in the cast is super, super well cast. I'll tell you, Roy, the guy who plays Roy Kent, who I understand is the writer of the show, at the same time, he wrote this thing so he could be in it, because and Roy Kent is like my spirit animal. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, because his attitude of positivity, still dropping F-bombs everywhere and being kind of a curmudgeon is, I mean, I can't tell you. I'm just like, that guy's got it. He gets it. And I mean, but they surround them with such good characters with all their own little complexities, and they don't spend a lot of time spending it, but they do a good job at fleshing out the characters without spending a lot of exposition about telling about how Rebecca went through a bad divorce with her husband, and this is her way of getting back, and he's a real wanker, and all this sort of stuff. They do that with a very minimal thing. And I gotta tell you, the soundtrack is also exceptional. That's actually one of my go-to sound playlists. There's a Ted Lasso season 1 and 2 on Spotify that I play regularly. Which has got all the music from it, and then the opening sequence, which is Mumford & Son, which, if fun fact, Mumford's lead singer, I can't remember what his name is, something Mumford. His wife is one of the executive producers on that show, which is how they've got him in that and how he's involved. He's actually in the show, if you didn't know that. He shows up in a scene in one of the I think it was in season 1, maybe season 2, where Roy Kent's in a deli. And he's talking to some guy, and there's a guy in the back in line behind him, and that's lead singer from Mumford & Sons, because he wanted to be in the show. So I mean, it's just so many great little nuggets and tidbits of fun stuff in this. I mean, it's, if you haven't watched it, I'm talking to you, David, even though you're not here, and I know you were having, because you didn't want to pay for Apple TV for a few minutes.
Yeah, David's not well, so he's gonna hopefully pick up with us. We're gonna send up a prayer for him.
Oh, I'm hoping he gets better.
Yeah,
but I know he fought getting Apple TV for a few minutes, because we were trying to convince him of it. I'm telling you what, if you get Apple TV for this long, and speaking of, I don't know if you noticed, there is a holiday episode.
Yes,
an animated fun app. It's 5 minutes, 10 minutes long. It's short. It's very much a short
holiday episode. Is everything.
And it was so nice. It was so nice to see something new. Oh man, because I've already watched through Ted Lasso once. I'm looking forward to a rewatch, because it's that good. It's that good. So I'll quit gushing. And those of you that watch this show on a regular, I'm not a big gusher. I'm not the liker of the group. I got to tell you, Pam, she's the liker. I'm kind of the one who's like, I'm kind of like, this sucks. Yeah, and I'm gonna mince words, it sucks, but I am not gonna tell you this show is amazing. And if you haven't watched it, this is the best thing I've seen since Schitt's Creek, and I loved Schitt's Creek too. So there's another one if you want to go back out and watch something. If y'all are looking for something to binge over the holidays, those two series, you can't go wrong with any episode. So there you go.
And I mean, there's a lot of lessons too. If you're a manager, if you have to manage and lead people, definitely check out Ted Lasso, because there's a lot of good management techniques in there and a lot of good positivity things that you could do. So Pat was like, you gotta watch this show. You gotta watch this show. So it took me a while to get to it, but once I got to it, I was like, this is everything. And fun fact, if you notice, there are a lot of KU Jayhawk bits in there. You don't know that unless you know, because you are what? Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU. Their track suits are the KU colors. If you look at it, they're blue with red and gold, and then the colors of the team are blue and gold. And just if you look at, there's a lot of things that call back to KU in this. So thank you for that. And this year, so the first year was eternally optimistic. But this season, we got to see a lot of the reasons, good and bad. Ted begins to suffer from anxiety and has panic attacks. And that really set the stage to really discuss some really more serious things this season around mental health, around relationships, and what happens when ambition takes over, takes a friend over. And what do you do when your friend becomes more ambitious than the friend? And what do you do as a leader when one of your mentees decides to be ambitious in a negative way? And then you got to see a negative ambition and you got to see positive ambition. And to see part of the joy of the season 2 was Rebecca and Keely's relationship. A lot of times when you have two beautiful women, they'll be portrayed as competitors. Whereas this time it was super refreshing to see two beautiful women, one older, one younger, one powerful in her own right, and the other one upcoming to be powerful, and the older one completely the younger woman and allowing her to move forward with her dreams. That was fantastic, because a lot of times you don't get that. You get silly pettiness that they portray women as. But sometimes, and I've had really excellent female mentors who have pushed me to become great, and that was wonderful, but you don't see that a lot. But here you get to see mentorship, but then you also get to see the therapeutic relationship and how Ted's had some pretty dark moments, and he's coped with them by being eternally optimistic. And that can be helpful, but it can also be harmful in a way too. So you get to see how he has to manage that. It was just, I thought the first season was incredible. This season was absolutely phenomenal in its depth and its where it took you to a place you did not expect it to go.
No.
And then he had some crazy funny stuff happen in it too, like the episode with Brett. Is that his name? Brett, his best friend from America.
The beard.
The coach of the beard. He
that one episode was just him following him that night. Yes.
Oh my gosh, those crazy pants, and that was just something else. And even that took a turn you didn't expect.
Yeah.
And it was like, Oh my gosh, I want to live in Ted Lasso's world.
Well, and you'll notice, and I don't know if you caught it, or I'm sure you did at the time, but you probably don't remember it. But even those episodes when they did the side trips, away from Ted, they changed the opening theme, so it wasn't. It was totally different because it's like telling you, it's like the biggest. I mean, it was just such a well-designed show. The show has been so well designed from start to finish. You built this interesting dynamic. You got, like you've quite clearly stated and very well stated, a good mentorship relationship, and then you have a mentorship relationship where it went wrong, where the person was not the person you should have been mentoring. I mean, Ted stuck up for him all the time and did things for him, brought him along, and then he's the whole time he's just sitting there sharpening a knife, on a sharpening steel. And I was just like, they did a good job at bringing in mental health as an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, non-traditional parents.
It took a turn at the final episode you weren't expecting either. And I was like, the confrontation scene, I was like, but then I was kind of confused because I was like, where's all this coming from? And so, it kind of triggered the moment for me when I had it out with someone and I'm like, where did all this come from? What is this? And then it just disappeared because you can't resolve it because you can't resolve it.
Someone left the room and here we are. Yeah,
Yeah, and then that final scene, both of us, I remember, didn't we text each other? We were like, F that guy, F that guy.
Oh, yes. I didn't say F, I said the word. Because I just want bad things to happen to him because, man, just crapped on the whole thing. What a piece of shit. Pardon my French.
I know. It's like, ugh. But
and something that we haven't talked about, but the and I gotta say it was an improper relationship between Rebecca and one of her players, because that is a wrong thing to do. You don't sleep with the help. It never happened. If it was a guy doing that with a woman, it would have been terrible. It would have been outcry, but no one's. It's just been kind of like, not that big a deal.
I was thinking, I was thinking it was completely. I was like, you can't do that anymore. When I looked at it, I was like, girl, you can't do this.
I know. I was even saying, I'm like, yeah, I get it.
It was
whatever.
So cute. I was like, oh,
it was.
Damn.
I know. The adorableness of it makes you want it. Makes you. Okay. Speaking of people we shipping together, okay, was it just me or was it everybody else shipping the Ted and the therapist? Because I could see something kind of going there, and I was like,
she got him together though, didn't she? I was like,
but he's there supporting her too, so you could see kind of a little bit of a thing happening, and I'm like, maybe next season, maybe next season.
What she did, and then he was like, I ain't reading this shit. Like, if he ain't from KC, that just took me right to Kansas City. I was like, that boy from home. He's like, I ain't reading this shit.
No, I ain't gonna read this.
And then he read it, and then he was like, oh. But definitely, oh my gosh, definitely. We could go on and on. But
dude, if any of you watching this have not watched it, you need to turn us off. And I would never say that, but turn us off and go start watching, because you know what? You want to talk about the best feel-good thing I've seen in quite a while. It is an amazing, and even the betrayals and stuff that happened in the second season, you're still like, you still feel good because Ted always took the high road, and you're like, man, I can really get behind this guy. God bless Jason Sudeikis.
If I could have taken the high road, because I might have punched him like right in the kisser and be like, or headbutting, like get Roy to headbutt him or something. So
Roy Kent. The chant for Roy Kent is the best. He's here, he's there, he's fucking everywhere. Roy Kent. Yes.
And that's what we are. We're everywhere. Actually, we are everywhere because, hey, PJammaLyfe, we are now YouTube official. We got our name, we got it out there. And today we were like, if you looked at the search list, we were up in the search list. So you can find us at PJammaLyfe. So in addition, we had yet another star like our video for Adventures in Christmasing. The diva, the icon herself, Kim Fields, liked our video. So we definitely say thank you to Kim Fields for liking our reviews. And so definitely check out our holiday reviews of different inclusive holiday movies and our ALDI's wine and cheese advent calendars. And so we're going up to the 24th on that. So definitely check us out. And maybe another superstar will like our videos too. So along with them, you can like them with us. So definitely check us out. And one thing I forgot to mention last week when we were talking about, maybe it was a couple weeks, the Beatles documentary, and Billy Preston was in it. And I forgot to mention, Billy Preston just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So definitely you can go and check out his music. Fantastic musician. About time he's getting his due, along with all the others, the Go-Go's and Tina Turner finally, and just a host of people who finally made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So definitely check that out. And definitely we'll be back next week, and we'll probably our next week's movies will be we're definitely gonna check out the last episode of Hawkeye, and we're also gonna review Matrix Resurrections is finally out. Oh my gosh, I've been waiting 20 years, it seems like. And can't wait to see how they evolve the characters. I think it's been a little over 20 years since the first
Pretty close.
Pretty close. So that was what, 99? And I think the last one was 2003 or something like that. So almost 20 years later. So definitely come back next week. And check out our review. Pat, you want to say goodnight to the people?
Yeah, right. Good night. Have a good holiday in case you don't make it next week, but be safe and get your shots.
Definitely. Omicron is surging once again. Make sure you have your vaccine, your booster, wear a mask, and stay safe. And if we don't see you, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, whatever you choose to celebrate. We wish you joy and love with your family and friends, or the family that you make. So take care. See you next time. Bye.
See you guys.